Welcome to Here's How We Get There. It's the daily show filled with conversations about business and mental health in a down-to-earth style with real-world language. Now let's dive in with your co-hosts, Kenneth Shark Kinney and Trey Tucker.
Trey, new day in Colorado as Deion Sanders has taken over the Buffaloes. Been a big overhaul. There's a lot of lessons and thoughts and how that applies in sports, in business, in life, and everything else. But what are your thoughts on what he's done with the team?
All right, so first, before I rip him, because I'm about to rip him, let me just say that I'm a big fan of him as a player. I love his talent. I love his motivational abilities. And I know that all these changes have to happen. But the way he started to go about those changes was horrible from a leadership perspective. Here's what happened. On day one, he walks into the auditorium. He tells all the current players on the roster basically to leave, to go transfer, because he's bringing in what he called his own luggage. And, you know, he told them harsh truths, which is fine. A leader has to share harsh truths. But the thing is with him, he did it with cameras in the room. And then he broadcast that shaming speech toward those guys to everybody to see. And I know he thought that it was going to create hype and attention, which it did, but he thought that was going to bring in the type of recruits that are going to help him win. And I just don't see that happening. I think that's going to attract recruits that are all about hype and attention and putting themselves first. Whereas, as you and I know, Jim Collins with Good to Great, Harvard Business Review, they talk about leaders that have to put themselves below other people, serve the people you're actually leading, and then the whole organization can rise. And I hope Deion can grow into that type of leader, but right now it's more about himself. How about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he had a lot of success at Jackson State over a very short amount of period of time. But it's really, for people like that, they tend to really think of the me suite more than the we suite. And we got to remember that regardless of what's going on with the name, image, likeness, with everything in there, with how players and football and basketball and all sports in colleges are changing, they're still young men. And they're still most of them are trying to get a college degree. A few of them may get a shot at the pros. Now, definitely, Colorado stunk last year with like a 1-11, record, and there needed to be an overhaul. But there's never a reason to shame kids going to school like that. And, I hope that the university understood when you bring in somebody like this, you are absolutely putting a bull in a china shop.
Yep.
And if they didn't know that, shame on them. But I think the university also owns some of the responsibility for knowing or not knowing how Deion was going to treat these players, because it wasn't right. And I wish them all success, but I also wish those players who left that they can carry on and still spend time at the university and complete their degree, because that's going to be a lot more important than the one out of 65 that may get a shot at the pros.
Yeah. And in this case, not so much a bull in a china shop, but a buffalo in a china shop.
To talk about.
But you're right, a shame-based culture, it can get some results in the short term, but it doesn't help the guys build character. It can make you rise up like a rocket ship really quickly, but then there's just nowhere to go. And that once the testing comes, the hard times come, there's no character behind somebody that's all about themselves.
Absolutely. No, he's not dancing with wolves. He's playing with wolves, but too much Tatanka. So, all right, we'll keep our fingers crossed and wish the Buffaloes well. See you soon.
Thank you for joining Shark and Trey on the Here's How We Get There show. Make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the show and visit here'showwegetthere.com. That's here'showwegetthere.com.